Good morning. Well, this is an old Yamaha golf cart, and we've had some issues with the front suspension. Recently we replaced the wheel bearings, and we're going to go back today and replace the kingpins. I've already done the right-sided kingpin. It's right here. And we're going to replace the next left. Now I'm going to draw your attention to where things are, because one of the questions you're going to wonder about is where do the seals go? And you've got two seals. There's a firm seal that's shaped like a hat, and it's upside down going up. And then this lighter seal is shaped like a hat, and it goes down, and the washer goes up here. I'll explain that in more detail as we go along. Okay, let's first demonstrate the problem. Now you're allowed to have a little bit of play here, but this is way too much. You see how much movement we got there? So these bushings that are on top and bottom are clearly shot, and they're due to be replaced. Now we'll take this dust boot off here. We'll take off this cotter pin. And our next step is to get the kingpin out. Now this thing here, right here, is the end of a roll pin. And so you make the job a lot easier if you have one of these devices called a roll pin driver. You just see the rounded end? It's not just a drift punch, it's got a rounded end to it. And that allows you to save the roll pin. If you try and push this out with a regular drift punch, you could flare it out and mess it up, maybe even destroy it, in which case you'd have to use a cotter pin or find a roll pin replacement. So get one of these to make your life easier. Now you can see it's a little bit hard to get at, so I'm going to turn the steering wheel and we're going to make it easier to get. Here, doesn't that make it a lot easier? So I'm just going to tap it out now. That's all there is to it. Here it is here. There's actually two roll pins here, and a small one that's on the inside and a bigger one. So use a larger pin driver to get both of them out at the same time. Sometimes when you're installing parts, it's easier to look at the new parts and see what you're dealing with. This is the new kingpin, and you can see it's smooth all the way down. It doesn't matter which way it's pushed. You could hammer it out this way or you could hammer it out that way. And secondly, you notice this lip goes down. Now this is where the cotter pin attaches, and this is where the roll pin attaches. And you can see that they're in line, and that fact will help you when you try and line up the roll pin later. So what we got to do is we got to pound this in. Now I've already sprayed it down with some penetrating oil. We'll see how difficult it is. I'm going to try and pound it down first, but if that doesn't work, I'll try and pound it up. It is moving. And we got it moving really well now. Lots more to go. Now there should be a washer in here right in the top somewhere. And there we go. I'm not seeing the washer that's supposed to be there. Here's our two bushings. This one's like an upside down hat, the wide part is at the bottom, and this one's like a right side up hat with a wide part at the top. So now I'll just tap these things out. There we are. Interestingly, it didn't have much of a brim, but the new one does. Now let's tap this one out. This one doesn't quite have as much of a length to it. This is a short one. Just trying to get on the edge of it. There we are. I'm going to just show you this where this washer goes. This is the top, this is the bottom. You can see there's a little chamfered groove right there, and that washer fits right in there. We put that in at the very end. When we put the first one together, we did a little bit of head scratching, wondering where all of these things go. So I'm going to show you how they go in situ. This is the dust cap, of course. This is the orientation of the bushing. This is the top, and this is the bottom. And then this is the washer on the top. Now both seals, it's counterintuitive, but both seals go on the bottom. You can see the bushing is facing the opposite way as the top. And the bushing here, these are the two seals. This seal goes oriented like this. And this seal is oriented like this. This is wheel bearing grease, just trying to get it all over. Okay, I've just started that bushing. Now it's critically important that it go in straight and it not collapse as you put it in. So I've got the old kingpin here and I'm going to put it down through it so it can't collapse onto it. And then I've got a socket and I'm going to tap this socket in from the bottom. See how that works. Help to have two people helping with this. There we go. That looks good. Now this bottom one is the same thing. I'm going to put the slit over to the side, actually to the back, just so it doesn't interfere. And this one was a bit loose, just like the other one was. I'm not sure what to make of that, but anyway, you see which way it goes. It's like an upside down hat. Okay, so for this next part, let me show you here. This is the bottom, and this one goes on right here like so. And you can just push that on with a... Okay, so you can see here's the knuckle. This is the bottom. And this thing, this seal, you can see it here. This seal, it's like a hat that's the correct way up. It's got a little lip that it goes onto. You see that? Slide that up onto the lip. There. And then this. Now I want this hole aligned with the other hole so that I can get it together later. Get it up, and then the last thing is to get this washer in. I'm just going to slide the washer in here. Try and center it. And there we are. Now the trick is to get that roll pin hole lined up properly. That may take a little bit of time. It took me a moment to find that roll pin. You can see how useful these things are. Perfect. I'm going to pack a little bit of wheel bearing grease in the top here. There's a little cavity where that can go. That'll help to exclude water and may percolate down. And then the cap. And then of course don't forget the cotter pin. Alright, now look at this. Still moves a bit. There's a bit of movement, but not nearly as much as there was before. One other little reminder about lug nuts is you've got to put them on the correct way. They don't go either way. You see the cone shape, that helps to center the wheel on the hub. If you put it on backwards, the wheel could come loose and come off. So this cone needs to be pressed up against the hub. I'll show you that now. See, it goes in that hole and centers the wheel. One other little reminder, in a golf cart, it's surprisingly easy to put them on wrong. Make sure the Schrader valve is on the outside so you can get at it. And then these things, you can see the taper is in. One other thing, some guys use these kingpins to drive out the old bushings for the next car, so it's probably worthwhile hanging on to them. Thanks for watching.